Tom Fornelli, who writes at CBS Sports, did a list. His list was the top five teams that he expects to take a step back in 2023. And he included Mississippi State on his list. And so the question is, should they be there? Here's what he writes about Mississippi State. There's some football reasons to believe Mississippi State won't win 9 games again in 2023 and finish ranked in the top 20. But the biggest reason is one the team has no control over. The death of Mike Leach was a tremendous blow to the sport and the Mississippi State program. Leach stamped his identity on the program, and the results came with it. The Bulldogs improved their win total in Leach's second and third seasons, but now they must start over, and they must do it with a first-time head coach in Zach Arnett, who is implementing a new style of play on offense. He goes on to say the schedule won't do Mississippi State any favors. While they don't have to play Georgia this season, they get Alabama and LSU at home, on the road for South Carolina, Arkansas, Auburn, and Texas A&M. He says it's sometimes better to have your toughest games on the road since you aren't likely to win them anywhere. Getting your coin flip games on the road makes them far less of a coin flip in your favor. Whether you agree with the Zach Arnett, Mike Leach part of that, there's something to be said for what he said about the coin flip games. It's almost like, businesses wouldn't be on board with this. Fans wouldn't be on board with it because it's fun. You know, when Alabama comes to town, when Georgia comes to town, whoever, because you have a sold-out stadium, you have a great atmosphere, and you're holding out the hope of one of those upset games that you remember forever. And they happen from time to time. But the truth of the matter is, you might be better off if you just said, hey, we're just going to sign up to play Alabama in Tuscaloosa every year. Odds are we're not beating them. If we ever beat them there, it'll be epic. But we would rather have the home field advantage for fill-in-the-blank team that is more of a quote-unquote winnable game every year than waste one of those home opportunities on Alabama. Now, again, that's not the way coaches think. That's not the way athletic directors think. That's not the way season ticket buyers think. But maybe there is something to that. I don't know. Does any of Fornelli's rationale make sense to you for saying Mississippi State takes a step back?
Absolutely. Logically, what he's saying makes sense. And a first-time head coach replacing a legendary head coach, I understand why people would have their doubts. There's going to be changes on the offense. You know, maybe not the wholesale changes that some people envision, but it's going to look different. And, you know, I get it. So I get that. And I get his point about, you know, what you're saying about Alabama at home. That's something that's been talked about for a long time. Just like, can't just play them on the road every year. What's the point? But what I would tell you is that Will Rogers has won at Texas A&M. He's won at Auburn. He's won at Ole Miss. He's won on the road at Arizona. He's won on the road at Vanderbilt. And I know Vanderbilt's not a great team, but it's a road win. So he's won on the road. And I mean, an experienced, senior quarterback who's had all these snaps. You know, you feel good about them going into those.
A senior with 2 years left, if he so desires.
If he so desires, I don't think that's going to be the case, but yes, correct. So it's just the classic example.
Can I interrupt? And I know it's something we've talked about before, but why are you so certain that you don't think that's what he's interested in? Do you think he believes that there's an NFL opportunity in front of him?
I think if he has a good season and he shakes off the system quarterback label. I mean, if he goes out this year and throws for close to 3,000 yards and 20-plus touchdowns and keeps his interceptions low, some NFL team's going to get – and he shows you that he can throw the deep ball. Some NFL team's going to give him a chance.
I just feel like the positions change so much in the NFL. Like, if you're going to be
his lack of mobility is an issue.
It better be an absolute, rocket launcher for an arm.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but I mean, Chase Daniels has been in the league for how long and thrown how many passes? I mean, you can make a living as a backup. Somebody will give him a shot.
Elite in college.
Did he go to the Heisman ceremony?
I have to go look at his stats. I bet, and they ran kind of an air raid system. But to get back to the point that those of us closer, maybe it's just, maybe I'm a homer. I don't know. But I just buy into Arnett as the head coach. I buy into Barbay and what he wants to do offensively. I know State has some playmakers that they're going to be able to use. This team has a ton of seniors. They have a lot of experience. I just see them being more successful than the national and in some cases the regional media is giving them credit for.
In 3 years as the starter at Mizzou, 06, 07, 08, Chase Daniels threw for – I just Dan Mullins him.
Yeah.
Chase Daniel.
You Mullins him, yeah. Yeah. So did I. Don't feel bad.
His first year, he played in 10 games, but just sparingly. Threw for 347 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. So you pull those numbers out. He threw for over 12,000 yards with 100 touchdowns and 39 interceptions in 3 years as a starter at Missouri. They're really good numbers.
Yeah. Not to derail the genesis of this conversation, but Will Rogers is the perfect kind of quarterback that could, in theory, if he wanted to, stay in college longer because his NFL prospects aren't that of, take Sam Hartman, the guy I always reference. Sam Hartman, he'd be on a roster this season. He would be. But he's not going to play. He may never start in the NFL. He is just a step below the skill set of an NFL starter. And he had an extra year of eligibility.
And so, you know what? He made a life decision, not a football decision.
And he's going to go to Notre Dame, which will do a lot of things for you post
that's my point.
Career.
I mean, quarterback at Notre Dame, if they have a good season, he writes his ticket for the rest of his life.
Yep. And
I will say this.
Got a contract, because that's what they are. Notre Dame's paying him. And he can do the NFL thing, the same NFL thing, after he has another year of college where he gets paid and maybe improves it some. But if he doesn't, he's going to be in the same position.
Hey, Dad, let me throw you a curveball. If Will Rogers is playing college football in 2024, is it at Mississippi State or somewhere else?
I think it's at Mississippi State, and it's because he got injured this season. And so State will have a terrible year if that's the case.
You are that convinced that Will Rogers is, if he stays healthy and plays close to the way he has, he's done after this year?
Yes, that's what I believe.
Okay. Well, that's your college football